Nobody believes in your visions or your dreams until your visions or your dreams becomes reality. I wasn't expecting everybody to believe that I was going to get out into doing this business. I had a lot of like negative or that won't work or something, but hey, I went out and did what I did. I have faith in it. I brought my vision dream to reality.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Total Michigan, where we interview ordinary Michiganders doing some pretty extraordinary things. I'm your host, Cliff Dubenois. Have you ever wondered what it truly means to embrace a second chance? So picture this: a life veering off course, facing the stark reality of prison life, until a fateful moment of clemency sparked a journey of redemption that altered the course of destiny. How does one rise from the shadows of their past to illuminate the path towards a brighter future? What drives someone to defy the odds, rewrite the narrative, and to build a new legacy of hope and possibility? To help us answer these questions today is our guest, the owner of 111 Leather Goods, and that would be Mirakle McGlown. Mirakle, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Cliff. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for asking. So for our audience, why don't you tell us, what is 111 Leather Goods?
111 Leather Goods is a handmade leather product made by me. 111 is actually what I like to break in Trinity form, meaning one love, one power, and one God. Just giving God homage into my brand. 111 is actually angelical numbers, just meaning leaving your past behind and stepping into a better future of manifestation and positive energy. And it's something that I would like to put into the brand that I do. It's actually handmade right here in Flint, Michigan. I like all of my products to be one of 11 of its kind, just making it unique, giving different designs to 111. And I would like to call it future fashion before it happens. You know, that's how I explain it. It's where quality is priority here, you know? So that's 111. It's the brand. And it actually happens to be my birthday, but that's another story. So,
Awesome. Well, I know it's a little late, but happy birthday.
Hey, thank you.
So let's go back in time, because your story is just so compelling. I the more I've read about it, the more I love it. So let's go back in time. So why don't you talk to us about how did your story start? Where did you start? How did this all happen?
This all happened, to be honest, as me being incarcerated. I was incarcerated in 2007, 2008 to doing 20 years actually for different reasons of drug conspiracies. And during my incarceration, just wanted to find some way of just changing my life. And during about 2 years into my incarceration, I was able to get into a leather crafting class where they actually taught you the basic of making belts and basic handbags. And I developed a niche for it. It just became just a great passion. It was like my therapy. You know, it was just very therapeutic for me while I was in prison. So it was just my therapy, a piece of getting away from everything, and developed a passion for it where I just started doing different things my way. Once I learned the craft, I started making things unique. I was known for two-tone in my bags. I like to mix-match colors with the leather, and it was just something that just grew into me that I just fell in love with. And from that moment on, I started making different bags for family and friends, you know, and shipping bags home, and just got better and better. So it's been 14 years now that I've been doing this, and it's been a great thing. As going through it, I was fortunate enough to be able to get clemency without that 20-year sentence, and was able to come home after 10 years through President Obama clemency program that he granted for me. And I came home to pursue the dream and the passion that I always had of just making a business out of it, of actually having my shop and doing things my way of making a business. during pandemic was like, unfortunately for the world and everything, but it was a great eye opener for me of opening up a business for it. And during the time of just being at home during that time, I probably made anywhere from 40 to 50 bags during that
Nice.
year of the pandemic. And just took on to business, man. Stepped out on faith, gave it to God, went to work, and here I am now, bringing a vision to life, of what I really wanted to do, and it's just a great passion of mine, and I'm happy to be doing something that I really fell in love with most of all.
So let's go back. I want to explore a couple things here. So you mentioned before about how you were sent to prison and it was for 20 years. So talk to us about when that realization hit that, holy cow, this is not
Wow.
this is not what I mean.
Right.
What was going through your mind at that time?
Oh, well, what was going through my mind was everything, just life period. I'm 25, 26 years old, being
At that
sentenced
time.
at that time, being sentenced. I was 25 actually, being sentenced to 20 years. So first of all, I'm looking at life like I only been living 25 years, and I'm sentenced in prison for 20 years. But reality hit me that these were the bad choices that I made that led to this way. And the first thing I just started figuring out, how am I going to figure this out? How I'm going to make this through to be just sane and not, go crazy with this amount of time. And I really just in tune to myself, got real close to God, being honest with myself, not being in denial of different things that I need to change in my life. I'm looking at, I had 3 children at the time. So,
Oh,
I had just had my youngest son, and he was maybe a year old. And I'm looking at things like that. Like, how can I change my life and for the better for them to recognize that even though, your father made a bad choice, here's what he's going to make out of it. And, and I think that right there, it was just the integrity of me wanting to be better. It got me more focused into just doing better things and making better choices. I wanted to figure out something to really be living for, to look for my kids could see the positive, image that came from the bad choices that I made. So I went to different classes during the prison time, and I was doing everything that I needed to, change my ways. And when I got into the leather class, that's why I say it was very therapeutic for me, because I found something, in the mix of my change, in the mix of me asking God, because I had never even really been that faith based, to be honest, at that time. And I got real with God, and I just asked God to give me something that I really could just, know that this is it. Like, you can change for the better. And I think it was kind of like the leather class. I remember the first year was kind of just a hard year when I'm looking at this amount of time. And then I found something that second year where I just kept staring in the glass window at this leather class, and it was like it was calling me. And finally I went in there to ask him, like, how can I like get into this type of class? And it was a hard class to get into. They didn't take you serious. You had to have, you had to be fortunate enough to have that type of money on your commissary to be able to purchase your own leather, because you had to buy your
oh,
own leather
wow.
in there.
Okay.
So they put me on a list, and at that time I was working up in prison, just saving money to be put up on the class. And finally they called me to get in the class, and I took it seriously from the jump. It was kind of like my faith base met reality for me. It was like, okay, God sent it for me. I'm loving this right here. I remember making my first belt. I went crazy about it. Then I went, my first handbag I sent to my mom, and my first backpacks that I started making for my children. And I had made my daughter a bag where I embossed her name on it, and her name was Leilani. And I remember like it was so many people who had daughters named Leilani in prison. It was just so many offers to like they wanted to buy that bag, and I sent it to my daughter, and it was just like I remember talking to her, and she was like, I wore my backpack to school, and the teacher actually asked me like, where did you get that backpack from? And she was like, my dad made it. And it was like when she told me that and she was so happy, it was so like emotional for me. It was just so much
I
motivation
bet.
for me, my son asking me for different things, exactly how he want his bag, and I make a backpack exactly for him. And at this time they had got older. Like I said, when I left they were children. So as that time, I just saw things that just motivated me. And before the business, it's like I fell in love with it just for the passion of therapeutic.
Yes.
So that's why I say it feels good to be actually doing something that I really love. And I love the whole point of making custom things, you know, coming and doing designs people haven't seen before. But during those times up in prison, that was just the first thing that came to my mind was getting it right and be honest with yourself. People make bad choices. I didn't want to be one of those people that get mad at myself to come out and be doing the same thing that I'm doing. I was one of those people who I just got honest with myself. Instead of being mad at myself, I probably could say I was disappointed at myself with
Right.
some of the choices that I had made, but I wasn't getting mad at myself. I was more encouraging myself that you could do better, and you can do better. So,
Being in prison, just by listening to you talk, it must have been heartbreaking to be separated from your kids. But it sounds like being in this leather craft shop, this class, gave you a way to really be able to connect with your kids.
right. It was, and it was a relationship that brung on to my kids. I took fatherhood classes, in prison to gain relationship with my kids because that type of relationship had kind of flown away from me being there physically. But I made it my thing to stay in contact, to stay on the phone with them, to always ask them how their day were, to always ask them what they're interested in. And then, like you say, here comes the leather class, something that we can relate to, that we can actually sit and talk to, and bring different things that we both would think, what I'm saying, would be just some vision that we wish in imagination that we wish could happen, but we're bringing it to life where we're sitting there talking about bags and how you want this bag, and dad sit there and make the bag, and then we're both talking about it actually when you get the bag, and it's just like how you wanted it, and it just gave a relationship, and it also gave like belief to my children, like being a person in prison. Sometimes your children can lose belief in the things that you can do and the positivity that you can change. And it shows that type of belief and that type of faith to my kids that okay, that is like, and they're doing the right thing. It's just hope for one day that'll be home, hopefully sooner than these 20 years. But it definitely started a relationship that was great.
And it gave them, I would imagine it gave them a sense of pride.
Yeah, sense of pride, sense of hope. And even through those things, like, even though I was like granted clemency, I wasn't just granted clemency for nothing. I was granted clemency for the things that I was doing in prison. Like I said, I was doing programs. I was changing my life up in prison. I was getting into active, positive things. I showed a record of change. It wasn't just like, oh, here we're gonna give them clemency. It was just like, okay, here's someone who deserves a second chance. And I'm grateful to be home and really showing, you know, what you can do with a second chance in a positive way. That's my main thing. I'm so grateful of turning, like I could say, a negative to a positive,
Right.
So
Definitely. For our audience, we're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors. When we come back, we're going to talk about the miracle that Miracle received. to get him out of prison and what he's doing today to really beautify the world. We'll see you after the break. Hey, if you are enjoying these great interviews, just take a moment and go to totalmichigan.com/join, and you can get these episodes sent directly to your inbox because there's a lot more great stories coming. See you there. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Total Michigan, where we interview ordinary Michiganders doing some pretty extraordinary things. I'm your host, Cliff Duvenois. Today, we are talking to Mirakle McGlown and his absolutely amazing story of transformation. And Mirakle, before the break, we were talking about life in prison, and this actually opened the door for you to start learning the craft of making leather goods. The next part of your story that I would like to go on is the Clemency portion. Now, from what I understand, this in and of itself was kind of like an ordeal. It was a process for you to go through. So walk us through, first off, what made you think that you would even get clemency? And then second off, what are all the steps that you had to go through before you finally were granted clemency?
Sure. First of all, did I believe that I would even get clemency? Yes.
Awesome.
My belief was so high. My faith was so high because I turned that situation over to God, to be honest. You know, I remember when clemency had came, I got clemency 3 days before President Obama was out of office. I was a part of the last batch of clemency that he gave on his wife's birthday. Michelle's birthday was January 17th. And he was out of office January 20th. So I actually got clemency 3 days before it was actually said and done. I believed so much in it. I had so much faith in God. I knew I was ready, you know, for my second chance. But I turned it over to God. I remember talking to my daughter, and so many bills had passed before where it just wasn't, it didn't grant me anything. And I told my daughter, I said, I gave it to God. I said, if anybody hand, it could be the fourth quarter, last second on the clock. I'm giving it to God, and it's in his hands. And I feel like I'm ready, but if I'm not, then God knows I'm not ready. Maybe I think I'm ready. And I accepted that. And I know God knew that I was honest about it. If it hadn't happened, I wasn't going to be mad about it. But did I believe I was going to get it? Yes, I did. And I was denied twice. And people, I don't even mention that a lot. I was denied for clemency twice. But on the third time, somehow, like the last batch of people, my name came up. I remember seeing it on CNN where it was 300 and some people had got clemency. And I left out the TV room and I went into my room and I just dropped to my knees and I prayed because I said, God, well, I guess I'm not ready, but I just ask that you build me to be ready, you know, whenever my time is to come to get up out of here. But I thought I was ready. And all the time I was thinking that that was the last clemency that he was doing. I didn't know that I was one of those 300 and something people until they called me later that day. They called me to the warden office, and the warden just called me in, sat me down, and he asked me if I would like to be, if the president was to grant you clemency, would you accept it? And my answer definitely was yes, but it might have came like 2 minutes behind after I was like all balled up in tears just coming down because it was just such a relief. And all I could think about was my children and getting home. It was like it really happened. And it was more the confirmation for me from God that he heard me. He knew I was ready. It was my faith that I believed it. when everyone was doubting me, saying that clemency is over, that's it, it's not going to be anymore, And I look into these times now, like I'm here and I'm out here, and the positive things that I'm doing with the change that God gave me in my life. I would still be in prison with to this day right now with years to go, and I have been out here doing positive things. I have been working with communities. I have been working with children who was in my situations, who was, going down road paths. I have showed them right ways to turn. I have done so many things like far as with therapists, like I told them I would do. Like I knew I would change a kid life that looked at up to me for all the bad choices. That same kid was gonna get a chance to look up for me for the good choices being made and the positive things that I'm doing. And I'm doing that. And it's that of the clemency, it's that of God, it's that feeling that even when I thought I didn't get clemency, I still felt good. I still felt good about it. I still was in good energy. I felt like God had control of it. So it's a very like humbling situation, but at the same time, it was more just a confirmation for me that God had his hands on me all the time, long as I was committed and doing the right thing. And that's the path that I'm in. So I just thank God, man. I'm getting emotional, but I thank God for that. That moment, that time was just really the biggest confirmation that God could have gave me. And that's why I tell you to this day, God is the greatest. Like I speak to you, he's good, but he's better than good. God is the greatest, and he's Tony the Tiger great. I put that, yes. But yeah, coming from there, coming home from clemency, having my plan to get right, being able to have a job of a 9 to 5 to get into the city where I'm working street street maintenance. And those days were getting to be hectic of wanting to start this business. Um,
Now,
work.
this was right around when COVID.
This was right when COVID had hit. Actually, COVID hit, and it hit my job hard. My boss died.
Oh,
My boss died. Rest in peace, Miss Betty Ryman. She died during our COVID, and we had like a few weeks off for the whole office because it was just a bad COVID had went down. And I was at home and just wanted to do something that I love. It was just like I was loving that I had a job, but I was missing my leather. I was missing, doing my leather. That was like part of like reading for me. It was just peaceful for me. It was my time of therapeutic. So I started back and I reached out during the pandemic as we just sitting home. Everything was pretty much locked down. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna give me some tools. I'm gonna give me some leather." I remember talking to my lady and I was talking to my mother, and and my mother had been asking me to do bags anyway.
right.
She's been was on me. So I went. Yeah, she was on me to do bad. She wanted her another purse anyway. She was like, "Why don't you do some purses?" Like, cause I would like this purse, but I got tools, man. I ordered leather. I wasn't able to get the right tools that I really needed, but I was able to get the basic tools that I could use. You
To at
know,
least just get started.
yeah, I could get started with this. So I reached out, to be honest, I was looking for a leather company. And I reached out to the same people who I was getting leather from in prison down in Springfield. And they actually beat the prices of the other companies that people were asking me to go. And
Nice.
then what was the main thing? I talked to a lady who actually remembered me from ordering leather in prison. She was congratulating me for being home, and she gave me the same discounts that they were giving me from in prison. So,
Love
you
that.
know, it's just like God was just lining things up for me in my life. And I started out, I put my faith in God and just went to work. I have this saying, like, you know, nobody believes in your visions or your dreams until your visions or your dreams becomes reality, you know. So I wasn't expecting everybody to believe that I was going to get out into doing this business. I had a lot of like negative or that won't work or something, but hey, I went out and did what I did. I had faith in it, and I brought my visions and dreams to reality. And I started working. I started made that bag for my mom, you know. I
Yeah.
made that bag for my lady. I made that bag for the kids. I started making more bags for family who was asking, and they were telling friends, and I started developing, you know, customers who were looking for to supporting me. I reached out to a person down at comic book store, Egypt Otis, and I was up there and I was doing a bag in front of them and I showed them a bag and they like, "Oh, you really does these bags hand making?" I'm like, so it's like, "Oh, I didn't know that you were like making them." And she got excited about it. She was like, "Hey, I have an idea for you. You need to. It's people that will help you out." Because I was telling her like I really could do even better than these with better tools and
Right.
better space. I said, this is just something I'm doing at home. So she reached out to some people. She turned me to 100K Ideas here. And it was a Pitch 4K that was coming up. It's called Pitch 4K, where you pitch your idea. And it's a chance to win $5,000. She said she thought it would be great for me. I entered it and I actually won. You know, I won first place, was able to get $5,000 supported to my funds of my business, was able to get more tools. There from 100K Ideas, I hooked on to a guy named Tyler Bailey who actually hooked me on to a navigating program. The navigating program actually gave purchased different donations into my funding of me having a class down at Factory 2. So I was going down at Factory 2. I was able to use real machines and tools that I really needed, and it
Mm-hmm.
sped up the process. They gave me space there for my leather table, and I went to work down there. It kind of sped up the process. I was able to get over from there to get funded through a grant where actually gave me money to go towards my business for tools. It was a Michigan Moving Forward grant. And from there, things really started to pop off where I could actually get my machines that I really needed, the tools that I really needed. Now I done bought me a nice table for actually the space that I have and at home. So now I don't have to be at Factory 2 so much, or they don't have to worry about closing. I'm kind of working on my own time now. So it was just those type of people in support in the city here that supported me so much here in Flint through the things that I've been doing. And it's been going great. I've been able to get my business up and going, get a little help from different people who I'm learning to teach. I'm looking forward into actually teaching a class, just not being a gatekeeper to it, teaching to take what you make class where you learn how to make basic belts and wallets, and for the women a basic handbag class. Just, you know, teach one, each one teach one. Maybe find some help who's got a passion for it like me. I was able to get into here at 100K Ideas with shops on Saginaw
Right.
to display my storefront right here on downtown Flint, Michigan, 601 South Saginaw Street. Um, and also with who I first started from at comic book store with Egypt Otis, was able to put bags over there for retail at comic book store right here at Buckingham Alley and Second Street. So the things are just going in. I opened up a website that was funded through the grant that I used for Michigan, moving Michigan forward, and
It's
it was,
great.
yeah, I was able to open up a website. So now I'm just going and growing into the business, you know, of different things, of getting my name, trademarks, and things of people supporting those type of things. So, and this is all started from, like I said, it's just a dream and a vision of mine. And I really stuck on my saying when I say No one really believes in your dream and your vision until your dream and vision becomes reality. So I push everyone who has a dream or a vision to do something to go out on faith, give it to God, go to work, believe in it, believe in yourself. I love when people say they believe in me, but I love to hear a person say they believe in me, but it confirms how much I believe in myself,
Yes.
so and just believe that God has me on to the right path of doing the right thing. So now I have the store here at Sops on Saginaw, which is 601 South Saginaw Street, downtown Flint, Michigan. I'm also at retail at Comic Book Store on 2nd and Buckingham Alley right there. And I'm also have the website, which is 111leather.com.
I was just going to ask you what the name of your website is.
Yes,
Yep.
the number one, spell out 11, Eleven, leather, Leather.com. So that's the number one, Elevenleather.com. And also type up 111 Leather Goods. It'll pop right up also. So very much looking forward to the business growing. I love the fact that I come with different designs. All my bags is mostly just things you just never seen before. I like to put my bags one of 11 of its kind. I really don't want to do more than 11 of the same bag. So I just want to keep them unique and keep it custom. That's my way of just branding out the whole 111 thing of it.
Excellent. Miracle, it's been awesome having you on the show today and sharing your story. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it just goes to show once again that you should never underestimate the unlimited potential that's in all of us to do great things. For our audience, you can get the link that Miracle was talking about in the show notes down below. We will see you next time when we talk to another Michigander doing some pretty extraordinary things. We'll see you then.